everybody, it's Lori and welcome to the channel. Today's video is going to be all about wrapping up your year of photography 2023 and getting started with your file system for next year. It is such a great time to just take a minute to pause, review your work, get a little bit more organized, and then get set up for the new year. So this is something I like to do in December or early January, and I thought I'd walk you through some of my quick tips. So I'm here in Lightroom Classic in the library section. Now, if you do not use Lightroom Classic, but you have another file system, you might use Bridge, or you might just keep your files on an external drive, you could follow a similar process. So what I've done is I have gone to the filter. Now, if you don't see in the library this filter option, you can go up to View and Show Filter Bar. All right, so the next thing I've done is I've gone to the date and I've selected 2023. And then I have selected down here in the bottom right corner all of my flagged images. Now, if you don't flag your images then or use maybe a rating system, you could rate your images 1 through, I think it's 5 stars. Then you may just have all your images for the year. So if I turned my filters off, I had over 13,000 images for this year that I've saved, but under flagged, I only have 2,300. So quite a big difference. So for me, this system works. What I do is when I review my images that I've taken, I flag the ones that I want to edit. And then once I edit them, I star them if they are like a favorite or a keeper. So what I'm doing today is my first step is to go through my images from this year. What I'm looking for, and I'm just looking right now at my favorite flagged images. What I'm doing is I'm making sure that I have put an image that I really like into a collection. So collections, if you don't use them, are over here under your catalog and your folders. Think of collections like photo albums. So the way I use collections is I have several. I have a flower collection set, and this is where for different types of flowers, I drop them in. So this is a gorgeous anemone flower, and I would just bring this over and drop it into that folder. Now, I do this one for flowers because I shoot a lot of flowers and I also sometimes need them for workshops, print collections, gallery request, magazine request. So that's one bucket I have. I also have a bucket called series, and these are more projects that I've worked on. So I have one for intentional camera movement. It's got a lot of images in it. I have one for my best of last year. So I had 100, ended up being 108, but 100 best of 2022. I have a variety of folders in here, water drops, wildlife. This is just a place when I'm working on maybe a project, I will plug these into this series. So I've got travel, so I have a bucket for travel with different trips in there. So if you're not familiar with using collections, that is one way to get organized for the new year. So let me show you how you can create a collection. So what I like to do at the end of the year is create a collection. You just hit the plus button, create collection, and I'm going to name this 2023 favorites. And I'm going to put it inside my series collection and create. Now, the reason I put things inside that is I can then minimize. So you can see now I've got these folders and I've got collections. And so it's not as large. And then when I want to go into one, I can go to my series, kind of think of that as a big folder, like a big folder box. I can open it and then I can find my images. So 2023 favorites is where I am going to eventually place images that were my absolute best of the year, the ones that I love the most and that I think really speak to my photography for the year. But before we get to that, My first step is, again, reviewing my current images. And so what I want to do is put them in any folders if they are not in one. Sometimes I'm a little quick and I don't add them to collections. So you may be wondering, how do you know if an image is in collections? Well, if you see an image, it would have a box here that lets you know. Well, let me go back to the library. It would let you know if the image is in a collection. So let's add this image to my flower collection, and we're going to add it to roses. So I'm going to scroll down. There's the roses folder. I'm over here on the left of the screen, and I'm just going to drag these over to roses. And what will happen is now we will have, it's disappeared. There we go. So you'll see a third little box here, and it kind of looks like a folder box. It's got a heavier white line. And if you click on it, it's going to tell you that it's in the collection roses. So as I'm going through my images, here's an example. I see this third box. The second box is letting me know I cropped it. And then this is letting me know that there were edits. So this plus minus is edits, crop, and then this third one is the collection, and this one is in still life. So as I'm going through my images, if I don't see a box and I really liked the image, this was also a 5-star image, then I'm adding it. So that's one of the first steps that I take. So I'm just kind of scrolling through. Now, as I go through my images, I'm only going to go through these one time. So I've planned a nice hour to work on this. I'm looking to see if they're in collections. I'm also looking to see if maybe I missed an image that I want to go back and edit. So that happens. So I actually have a folder down here, and it is called, let's see, Edit. I have it called Edit Test. That was for another project, but I am dumping some images in here that I may want to go back and edit, either in a different way, a new way, or maybe I just skipped the image altogether. So that is another step that I'm taking. So I am, number one, reviewing to make sure I've got them in some folders. Number two, I am looking for any image that I might want to go back and edit. And then number three, I am 5-starring. You can just hit the 5 key. So you can see these 5 stars here. If you hit your 5 key, we'll do it on this image. Let's go over here. Well, all of these were 5-starred. Let me go up to set rating to 5. There's the 5 stars. So if you want to make an image 5-star, just select it. Now, the reason I do this is I'm marking my favorites as 5 stars. Then what I can do is sort my images by the 5 stars, and then I can go through those as my favorites. So as I go through my images, I'm just going to add that number 5 to them. If I really, really liked the image, you can see here's a 5-star. I know this one was one of my favorites. And I'm not counting as I go. I am just, I'm just going by what I like. And as I go through, I can decide later if it's truly a 5-star image. So that's another step that I'm taking. All right, so once I have finished all of this, then I've got my collections feel good for the year. I've gone through all my images. I've got some images I want to edit, and I also have my 5 stars. So I'm going to show you what to do with my 5 stars in just a minute, but let's talk some more about collections. The next thing that I like to do before I feel really good about ending the current year is I go through my folders. And sometimes I've created a folder that I no longer need. And so I'm just going to clean these up. For example, I was working on a project for Luminar and I brought some images into a folder. I don't need this anymore. So I'm just going to right click on it and click delete. Now it is not deleting the images. It's just deleting this folder, which I no longer use. So you want to mark leave photos in all synced photographs so they can still be available. So yes, you want to just leave them so they're all synced. but I'm going to delete the folder. I don't need it anymore. And then I can go ahead and look and adjust some others. I was also working on a project for minimalism, and I don't need this folder anymore. So I am just going to delete it. And this is going to help me, after I go through all of these folders, I'll truly have the folders that I'm going to be using and that I want to keep. So it just is, just take 15-20 minutes to go through your collections and really be sure that they're what you want to keep. Now, again, if you don't use the Lightroom library and you use folders on your computer, it's the same activity. So just going through and cleaning up your files will make things so much easier. A, when you try to find an image, it's going to make it easier. And B, to set yourself up for the new year. All right, so I'm going to pause here and I'm going to come back and we're going to talk about 5-star images and what I do with those next. All right, so one way to organize your images is with the star rating, or you can do color ratings. I know some people like to do the colors. I just prefer using the 5-star method. So any favorites I mark with a 5, which gives them 5 stars. Now, the way that you sort those, so you can come over to rated, and then what I do is I just select the stars. So if I wanted to see my 1-star images, I don't use the 1-star, I use the 5 stars, so I'm not gonna have anything there. So you can just come over and you can also do custom filter here where you've got all the stars selected, but you can also go to rated and then make sure you've got all 5 stars. Now, the next thing you can do is you can go up to your filter. Again, this is under View, Show Filter Bar, and you can select Metadata, and then you can select the year. So for 2023, I've already added 18 images. Now, what I do is I just go through all my images for 2023, again, that were already flagged and edited, and I select the favorites. So I've just started this process. Then what I'll do is I'll go through and I will I'll take off the star of the ones that truly aren't my absolute favorites. So you'll notice I've got a lot of these hellebores and flower, and all of these are not my favorites. So what I'm going to do is actually then go through them looking for the ones that just really speak to me and my photography for the year. So this is one that I like, but I don't love. I actually would probably like to edit this and maybe remove some of the distraction. So this would be one. I'm going to remove the stars. And what I'm going to do is actually add it to my series to edit. So I'm going to come down here and I'm just going to add this guy to edit test. And I may come back this winter and decide to edit this. But I really don't think that this is a 5-star image. So I'm just going to kind of keep going through my 5 stars. This is one I'm not sure. I don't think it qualifies as a 5-star either. This one I love, but I don't think it's one of my best images of the year. So I'm just going to remove the rating. So I would just continue to go through. Again, I'm not counting the images because I really don't care how many. I just like to have at the end of the year a group of images that are my true favorites. I go back to this folder when I'm looking for work, whether it's to submit to a gallery or to print. So here were some from 2022 that were marked as favorites. And so it's just fun to go back through and look at some of these images and know that I've got some that I really love. So that's another step that I take. Once I have all of these determined, I will put them in my 2023 favorites folder. So for example, this agave picture I absolutely love. It's one of my probably all-time favorites. And so I'm absolutely going to move this to my 2023 favorites folder and leave that one there. Now, if you want to keep your images 5-starred, but maybe you just don't want to put them in your favorites folder, you could absolutely do that. All right, so that's how I use the starring system. I just really go through and star for the fives that I love, and then I go back through those and move things to my favorites. Again, I like having these folders. This was my 2022 favorites, and I think it's fun to just put together your work in a smaller collection. And so it has a wide variety. I have some of my intentional camera movement in here, some garden scenes. You could mix the genres. You could also do them by theme. You can see I've got some landscape scenes here. So I just mix together all my favorites, and I like doing it that way. And I think it's a really helpful organization system. All right, so let's talk about getting ready for the new year. So after I've done all my cleanup, what I like to do is go ahead and create my folders for the new year. So the first thing that I need to do is actually go to my file system. So I'm going to go over to the Finder here, and I use a Lacy external drive as my primary drive. And you can see here, I've got my folder system. So I actually have my 2021 images, my 2022, my 2023. So I've got 3 years worth of images on this one Lacy. So what I'm going to do is I am going to actually check my Lacy to see how much space I have left on it. And I'm going to decide if I need a new Lacy for the new year. So if you need a new external drive, now's the time to get one, and you can buy them for your type of computer. If you're a Mac user or a PC, get the Lacy, get it plugged in and hooked up. There are instructions on formatting it. You want to format it before you begin using it. And then if I had a new file folder, I would then create my file for the new year. So what I like to do is create a new folder, and I would just come in and create a folder for the new year and label it 2024 images. This is where all of my raw images go into this folder, and then I start and edit it. So I do an edited folder where my edited images are exported to. And then I have every month of the year, and sometimes I have some special categories. Now, these are some videos that need to go in their own folder, but you can see I have January, February, March, April, May, every month. So that is my system for 2022. I had my images here, and then I had them by month as well. So that's just a little bit. What I would do is set up my new Lacy, and then I would set up my folder for the new year. Because then in January, when I start taking images and I go to import images, I am going to want to make sure that I tell the computer where I want the images to go. So let me plug in an SD card and come back and show you that if you are new to using Lightroom Classic. SD card in here, and you can see as it pops up, you want to come over to Destination, and I've got my Lacy 2, and then I would select the folder where I want my raw images to go, and that's the 2023 images. I don't want it to go in the edited one. I want them to go into 2023, and they go by date order. I never touch this file. This file just sits on my external drive and holds all those images, which then go into my catalog. So what I'll do for the new year is I'll have a new folder that says 2024 images, which I've created over here on my Lacy drive. And that way, when I'm in Lightroom, I will select 2024 images, and that's where those images will go for the new year. So that's just the system that I do. It also allows me to keep everything in 1 year. And it also then, in the beginning of the year in January, I can determine if I need a new Lacy drive, if I've almost filled it up. So that's a little bit about my process there, and a step that I will be taking as I get ready for the new year. So I hope this was a little bit helpful. Whatever your system might be, I am going to go ahead and cancel this import. I hope you'll take some time to review your beautiful images from the year. Consider how you organize and keep up with those images. I know some people use keywords, and that's a great method as well. Whatever your file or marking system is, just take time to review and maybe make a folder of your favorites. I think you'll really enjoy doing that and having that collection of images to reference back to. Thanks so much for watching my channel, supporting it, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.